champ now.
Yes, I didn't say. What are you looking so sad about, champ?
I'm surprised. I mean, I'm really insulted. That's not right, what you just said.
What do you mean, what I just said?
I mean, I'm getting a drink of water. I'm late getting home, but you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talking about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, Clay, one time during my career, I was on a Formula One tour.
I would have been a bum compared to you.
We just don't tour.
What's happening, my people? It's Cash Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. That's right. You know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it. Can't get enough of it. Salute to everyone and welcome to another episode of Cash Sports, the Boxtorian. Today, the life and career of the Matrix, Vasyl Lomachenko. The Matrix, Vasyl Lomachenko, has the family today. We're right at the end of another big week of boxing history. We're going to end it up with a look at a former fighter today, Vasyl Lomachenko. Just recently retired, but he is retired. Just retired in June of this year. Had a brilliant career. Thought of as one of the greatest amateur fighters ever. 397 amateur fights, won 396 of them. And of course, tomorrow is the big day. Bud versus Canelo, Canelo versus Bud, Monster versus MJ, MJ versus Monster. And don't forget Monday, the show Monday is going to be the panel, chopping up this weekend's action. And it may be some card on one of the undercards that's the fight of the weekend. So yeah, we're gonna do that Monday. Chop up this weekend's action. But today, it's going to be the life and career of Vasyl Lomachenko for our profile today. But how's everybody on this Friday afternoon? Looking straight ahead at Bud and Canelo this weekend. We're going to start off today with the fight of the day as usual. Excuse me for a moment. Yeah, we're going to start off today with the fight of the day as usual, as we start off every show. So let's get into that. Today's fight of the day. Bear with me. I done lost the chat. Gotta be able to see what's going on in the chat, who's coming in and out. Wi-Fi not connected. Okay, we'll get it back. Let's go on with the show. And catch up with everybody. Okay, I think, geez. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's start with the fight of the day. There we go. We connected. Al Booger in the building. You couldn't get my internet right, Al Booger. How are you today this Friday afternoon? The Matrix, Vasyl Lomachenko. He is retired, recently retired, but he's still a former fighter. But let's get into today's fight of the day to start things off, okay? So without further ado, the fight of 100% facts, Al Booger. 1 day to go. And we are right there. And then we got Monster and MJ Sunday. So wow, what a weekend we got coming up. A lot of good Japanese fighters on that card for Monster and MJ too. I don't know about Bud Canelo. I don't think they made a very good undercard for Bud and Canelo. I don't know. But the main event more than makes up for it. But today's fight of the day is Aaron Pryor versus Antonio Cervantes. This was August 2nd, 1980. The Hawk is a world champion. Okay, that's the title of today's fight of the day. The Hawk is a world champion. Mike Grimm in the building. What's up, Mike Grimm? Yesterday was Miss Cass' birthday and we were celebrating, so yeah. Took a break. Okay. Aaron Pryor versus Antonio Cervantes. Okay. Now Booker says Anyway Frat will be on Top Rank's Facebook page. Oh yeah, they're not with ESPN anymore, are they? Wow. Man. Okay, Top Rank's Facebook page. Okay. All right. The fight of the day. Pryor versus, thank you, Al Booker, for that information. Pryor versus Cervantes. This was August 2nd, 1980. Same year I met Miss Cass. Okay. Now, the Montreal Olympics in 1976 was a galvanizing moment for boxing in America, an event that saw the sport gain new stars and new fans, as the United States amateur team became one of the biggest stories of the games. Michael Spinks, Leo Randolph, Howard Davis Jr., Leon Spinks, and Sugar Ray Leonard all won gold medals. And soon after the Olympics, signed lucrative contract to turn pro. Within a few short years, Randolph, Leonard, and Leon Spinks had all won world titles, while Davis and Michael Spinks ranked as top contenders in their respective divisions. But right behind all those new stars and feel-good stories was the boxers who had just missed having a chance to hear the cheers at the Olympics. Now, Aaron Pryor had wanted to be on that podium in Montreal as much as any other young pugilist, but he dropped a close decision to Howard Davis in the Olympic trials. His record of over 200 amateur wins, his reputation, and his performance against Davis had earned him a spot as an alternate on the team. But after the closing ceremonies, everyone knew who Howard Davis Jr. was, but few had ever heard of Aaron the Hawk Pryor. Few had heard of the Hawk. Now the Olympics is a catapult to big fights and big money in the pro ranks. So the Hawk was an alternate on that team that year. Lost to Howard Davis in the Olympic trial. But he still got a free trip up there to watch and everything, and, you know. Like Joe Frazier in 64 was the alternate, and he ended up, Buster Matthews got hurt. Joe Frazier ended up competing and winning the gold medal, but that didn't work out that way for the Hawk. Okay, so he got to the pro ranks and he turned, after the Olympics, he turned pro. There he is right there. There's a young Aaron Pryor, and all feared the Hawk. All feared the young Hawk. So Pryor immediately turned pro after the Olympics and went about laying waste to the lightweight division, setting a breakneck pace to complement his swarming all-action style. In less than 3 years, he had racked up 19 straight wins, 17 by knockout. But he was still Aaron who? Outside of his native Cincinnati, nobody still didn't know who he was. But the top contenders in the lightweight division knew who he was. They were definitely aware of both his presence and his penchant for overwhelming opponents with his fearsome attack, which led to a new problem for the Hawk. No one wanted to fight him. His activity rate plummeted, and so did his bank account. Scrambling for both fights and income, the Hawk resorted to working as a sparring partner for none other than Howard Davis Jr., the man that had beat him in the Olympic trials. But the Hawk lost that job when he decked Howard Davis during a sparring session. Yeah, Howard Davis said, "We couldn't have that. I'm the gold medalist. You decked me. People are going to be wanting me to fight you." So after he decked Howard Davis in sparring, Howard Davis fired the Hawk as a sparring partner, right? Meanwhile, boxers Pryor had beaten in the amateurs, fighters he had beaten in the amateurs were getting big money deals and national television exposure in the pro ranks. Pryor had defeated Thomas Hearns, but now the Hitman was an emerging star. His fights broadcast regularly on national television. Pryor had defeated Helmer Kenty in the amateurs, no fewer than 13 times. 7 of those wins by stoppage. Yet it was Kenty, not Pryor, who got the shot at WBA lightweight champion Ernesto Espana. Matchmaker Gil Clancy even offered Espana an extra 50 grand to fight Pryor instead of Kenty. But such was the reputation of the Hawk that the Venezuelan Espana turned the offer down. Instead, he took on Kenty and lost by ninth round stoppage in a one-sided brawl. Good thing he didn't fight the Hawk. Kenty stopped it. And the Hawk beat Kenty 13 times in the amateur, 7 by stoppage. So Espana knew the deal. He didn't want no part of the Hawk. Okay. That is the legendary Antonio Cervantes. Right here. That's who finally gave the Hawk the shot. There's Antonio Cervantes, thought to be the best fighter out of Colombia. The legendary Kid Pambale. So, I never dreamed Kenty would get a title shot before me, moaned Pryor to the press. He was now taking every opportunity to voice his frustrations to the media, repeatedly calling out the top contenders and champions in the lightweight division. What do I gotta do, he asked, to get a fight at Madison Square Garden or on television? Then someone had a bright idea. If the Hawk couldn't land a major fight at 135, why not move up to 140? Okay, why not move up? Colombia's Antonio Cervantes was something of a mysterious figure to United States boxing fans. Despite the fact he had been a world champion for most of the preceding 8 years, had dominated the super lightweight division, and was a living legend in his native Colombia, his face and name were little known. Most of his fights taking place in Venezuela and Panama. Another mystery was his age. He insisted he was 34, but he looked older. It was whispered he was past 40. And while he had won 13 straight since losing to the gifted Wilfred Benitez back in 1976, he was a decided underdog going into the title defense against the Hawk. And Antonio Cervantes, his name will always be attached to history. There he is right there fighting somebody. I don't know who that is he's fighting. That's Antonio on the left. But his name will always be attached to history because when Wilfredo Benitez became the youngest ever champion in boxing at 17 and win a world title, his opponent was Antonio Cervantes. So, whatever he did in boxing, his name will always be in the history books as the opponent of the youngest ever man to ever win a title. I don't know if Antonio wanted to be in the history books that way, but he's in there, right? And Benitez is still the youngest ever to this day at 17. Antonio was the opponent. Okay. But he did rebound from that defeat to Benitez. Right? I don't think that's Benitez right there. It could be because he's taking that punch right in the face, so his face kind of wrinkled up. I don't think so, though. I don't remember Antonio getting a shot in on Benitez like that. But anyway. But the real mystery was why he was in Cincinnati in the first place. Why he had agreed to do that. Why Antonio agreed to do what so many would not take on. And he was taking on Aaron Pryor in his hometown, right? Nobody would fight this man. Antonio came to Cincinnati, the Hawks' hometown, to fight. But whatever backroom deals may have been involved, Pryor finally had a title shot and an appearance on national television. And the Hawk made the most of it. He didn't squash his opportunity. As the fighters awaited the opening bell in the ring, they presented a study in contrast. The 24-year-old Pryor couldn't stand still. Keyed up and ready to fight, he danced about the ring, shadow boxing and flexing his muscles and glaring at Cervantes. Meanwhile, Cervantes sat slumped on a stool like a tired shift worker, patiently waiting for the next bus to come to take him home. A veteran of over 100 fights, this was just another day at the office for Kid Pombalay. His facial expression and body language that of someone ready for a nap, not a world championship fight. Or maybe it was that of a ring-worn veteran, ripe for the taking by a younger, hungrier fighter. There's the Hawk and Cervantes right there. Booker says, ignominious distinction. Yes. But there they are, going at it during their fight. Now, broadcast live on CBS, Pryor vs. Cervantes followed the timeless script of the proud old king versus the young upstart in search of glory. At the bell, the Hawk tore after the champion, chasing him about the ring and unleashing a non-stop mirage of leather. Cervantes appeared briefly perplexed by the challenger's aggression and the absence of any feeling out process, but soon enough began to find openings for counter shots. Displaying admirable grace under pressure, he connected with counter left hooks as Pryor, a veritable buzzsaw, kept charging in, though the challenger landed few effective blows. Setting a whirlwind pace, he forced Cervantes into the ropes again and again. But then, with seconds left in the first round, a short counter hook and a right hand connected, and Pryor's knee briefly touched the canvas. Round 1 to Cervantes. Everybody knocked Pryor down in the first round, seemed like though, so that wasn't nothing new, right? He went down in the first round many times in his career, but he always got up and came back. Yeah, Pryor's attack was ferocious and unceasing. The torrid pace continued in the second round, in what was clearly a contest between youthful exuberance and veteran ring smarts. Cervantes repeatedly got home with clean punches, as Pryor's brazen attack left him wide open for counters. But it was the champion who appeared hurt near the end of the second round, as Pryor landed 2 hard right hands. Returning to his corner at the bell, Cervantes could be seen gulping air, the pace already affecting his stamina, and we only in the second round. Okay? Cervantes' gas tank was already being affected. It's only the second round. Jarrell Hattie, Kensaw Love 1 in the building. Salute. Jarrell and Kensaw Love 1. Just working our way through the fight of the day. The Hawk Aaron Pryor versus Kid Pombalay. Kensaw Love. I was right. Kensaw Love's one name down. Kid Pombalay and Antonio Cervantes, thought to be the greatest fighter ever to come out of Colombia. So yeah, by the second round, Cervantes' gas tank was already looked like it was affecting him, right? And we still got 10 rounds. But wait a minute. We got 13 rounds to go because championship fights was 15 rounds at that time. Still got 13 rounds to go. With his cornermen urging Pryor to go get that old man, the Hawk started the third round with 2 more powerful rights as he sought to take full control. Seconds later, a series of right hands put Cervantes on the run and opened a deep gash over his right eye. And while the champion continued to score with solid counters, the punches had no effect on the constantly charging Pryor. The sight of his curdled blood drove the challenger to attack with even more intensity, his unceasing assault driving a bewildered Cervantes from one side of the ring to the other. His legs already unsteady, Cervantes clenched and held on to survive the round. And that was Cervantes was down for the count in round 4. Right there. To his credit, Cervantes never gave up. Hurt, tired, and bleeding, he continued to fight back as Pryor went for the kill in the 4th round. But his counterpunches, while they kept landing, were like pebbles thrown at a runaway train. Soon enough, he found himself trapped again in his own corner as the Hawk unloaded another barrage of right hands. Cervantes, overwhelmed, tried to clinch, but the Hawk shrugged him off and kept firing until a crushing overhand right landed flush on Cervantes' chin and dropped him. The old king gallantly tried to rise, but could not. The long championship run of Kid Pambelet had come to a sudden and violent end. To the Hawk, Aaron Pryor. Yep. Pryor, I would say Pryor, Al Booker. Between those two, yeah. Yeah. I would say Pryor. Yeah. Pryor, really the only big name he fought was Arguello. None of the 4 kings ever got in there with him. Well, Hagler was too big, but Duran, Leonard. And you know what Duran, guess what Duran did? When he started moving up, Duran didn't stop at 140 where Pryor was at. Duran went from 135 straight to 147. He bypassed 140 because the Hawk was at 140. Duran said, nope, I'm not stopping there. But yeah, I would say Pryor, Al Booker, to answer that question. Yeah, so the Hawk got the win in this one. And they were in Cincinnati. So the crowd at the Riverfront Coliseum rejoiced. Cincinnati celebrating its first world champion since the days of Wallace Bud Smith and Ezra Charles. This was like 40s, 50s, since they had a world champion from Cincinnati. Finally, it was no longer Aaron who, but Aaron the champion, the fighter everyone feared. The new champ would go on to become a major attraction. His title defenses broadcast on national television as he demolished one contender after another with his wild, incessant tornado fighting style, blasting his way toward a big money showdown with Triple Crown champion Alexis Arguello and fistic immortality. Yep, the Hawk. It is the winner of the fight of the day right there, the Hawk, Aaron Pryor. Okay. So today, the profile is going to be back to our former boxers. Vasyl Lomachenko just retired in June of this year. But he is, will you give it to Pryor too, Al Booker? Yeah. Yeah, but Lomachenko is retired. Okay. Yep, he retired in June 2025. Retired as a champion too. He had the IBF lightweight title when he retired. So he did retire as a champion. I know his proud grandfather. See his proud grandfather standing there too with him? The Bob father? I know he's proud. He didn't get him undisputed, but he retired champion. I thought he should have had undisputed because I thought he beat Devin, but hey, it was a close fight. You can't say robbery. You know, could have swung either way, but you know, I had Loma 75, but I think they gave it to Devin. What? Devin went like 7-5. It was very close. So yeah, hard fight to judge. One of those type of fights. You know, a lot of swing rounds in that one, especially early. But Loma, he did the same thing against Teofimo. 12th round, he takes his foot off the gas. And he was a veteran fighter by then. Why would a veteran fighter like Lomachenko take his foot off the gas in the final round in 2 of the biggest fights of his career? Because Devin and Teofimo was, right? Devin was the final one, wasn't it? Wasn't that his last fight? Yeah. No, or was it? I think it was. But did he fight Kambosos after Devin? I can't remember. We're going to find out now. in the profile. Okay, let's get into it. The life and career of Vasyl Lomachenko. Yeah, I had Loma too, that Al Booger. Great fight, but very close, but I had Loma. The autism boy, what's up in the building? Yeah, we are talking about the life and career of Vasyl Lomachenko. We're going to touch on his personal life and stuff briefly, but mostly his career, like going through his resume. Not all his fights, well, almost all of Lomas, because he only had 21. Little lead up to the fights, had a fight played out, then a little background, a little aftermath of the fight. But salute autism boy. All right, okay, thank you, Al Booker. It was Cambosis. It was after Devin, yeah. I had got the little signals mixed up. Yeah, Cambosis was after Devin, yeah. It should have been Maxie Hughes because he beat he dogged Cambosis, but the Bobfather had Loma and Cambosis set up already. Look at the Bobfather. What are you gonna do now? His grandson retired. He got to go find another Loma now. Yeah, he loved the Bobfather loved himself some Loma. He one time said Loma was just as good as Ali. Bobfather was capping big time. But let's talk about Vasyl Lomachenko. Okay. Now Vasyl Anatolyevich Lomachenko. He's a Ukrainian former professional boxer. Competed between 2013 and 2024. Now he held multiple world championships in 3 weight classes. He had the WBO featherweight title from 2014 to 2016, the WBO super featherweight title from 2016 to 2018, and the unified WBA, WBC, and WBO and Ring Magazine lightweight titles from 2018 to 2020, and the IBF from 2024 to 2025. He just vacated that in June when he retired, remember? Yeah, he is a retired champion, Loma. Okay, now like I said, Loma, well, he's also known as the Matrix, High Tech, and Loma. Fought in 3 weight classes, featherweight, super featherweight, lightweight. World champion in all 3 of them. Okay? He was 5'7" tall. He had a reach of 65 1/2 inches. Fought in the southpaw stance. He had 21 fights during his professional career. He won 18, lost 3, 12 by way of knockout. Okay? 12 by the knockout route for Loma. Now, Lomachenko is one of the most successful amateur boxers of all time, and often considered to be the greatest, possessing a record of 396 wins against just 1 loss as an amateur, with that loss avenged twice. Now, competing in the featherweight and lightweight divisions, he won a silver medal at the 2007 World Championships, gold at the 2008 European Championships, consecutive gold medals at the 2008 and 2012 Olympics, and consecutive gold medals at the 2009 and 2011 World Championships. Making his professional debut in 2013, Lomachenko tied the record with Thailand's Sansak Buangsaran for winning a world title in the fierce professional fights, becoming a WBO featherweight champion in his 3rd fight. Now, he's known for his exceptional hand speed, timing, accuracy, creativity, athleticism, defense, and footwork. He has won several awards by media outlets throughout his career. The Ring Magazine and ESPN named him Prospect of the Year in 2013. CBS Sports named him Boxer of the Year in 2016. HBO Sports named him Boxer of the Year in 2016 and 2017. And the Boxing Writers Association of America and the Ring Magazine named him Fighter of the Year in 2017. On June 5th, 2025, Lomachenko announced his retirement from professional boxing at the age of 37, and he held the IBF lightweight title at the time he retired. Okay, Shawa, what's up? Shawa's in the building. Appreciate that cash app, Shawa. 1,000%. Okay, appreciate you. Let's see here. Okay, there we go. Appreciate you, Shawa. Okay, yeah, and everybody, make sure you subscribe to Shawa. Yeah, you can drop the link in there. Did I tell you the other day? But you know, you're welcome to drop your link in there, Shawa, so everybody can hit it. Go on over there and subscribe. Shawa does great work. She had a great work yesterday, looking at the fights coming up this weekend. Outstanding work, Shawa. I enjoyed that thoroughly. That was yesterday. She was talking about all the action we got coming up this weekend, and we got some action coming up. Yeah. So you put your link in there, Shawa, and everybody please subscribe to her, okay? And today is the life and career of Vasyl Lomachenko. Okay, let's look at his early life. Wait a minute. Yeah, his early life? Yeah. Let's take a look at Lomachenko's early life now. There's a young Lomachenko. Okay. Now he was coached by his father, Anatoly Lomachenko, from a young age. He claims that if his father had not been a boxing coach, he probably would have chosen to play ice hockey on the professional level. Now, according to Bob Aaron, in 2017, the Bob father said Lomachenko's father did not let him train for boxing until he attended traditional Ukrainian dance classes. He then went on to gymnastics before finally getting into the ring. Yeah, everybody knows about that. Yeah, thank you, Shawa. Appreciate that. There's Shawa's link. Everybody can hit that and subscribe to her. Okay, let's take a look at Lomachenko's amateur career. Because, you know, legendary amateur career. 397 fights, 396 wins, and 1 loss. Okay, incredible. So at the 2007 World Championships in Chicago, Illinois, he won silver by beating Abner Koto in the first round. Theodore Papazov, Mikhail Bernardsky, Arturo Santos, and Li Yang, all in the semifinals to reach fellow southpaw and Russian favorite Albert Selimov, to whom he lost 16-11. This was his only loss in Lomachenko's amateur career, which he avenged twice. Okay, excuse me for 1 second. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Okay. 2 seconds. Okay, we back. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, we're looking at Lomachenko's amateur career now. Yeah, he lost to that guy. That was his only loss, and he avenged it twice. The Russian guy, Albert Selimov. Okay. Now, Lomachenko won gold at the 2008 Olympic Games in Beijing, China. He beat his 5 opponents by an astonishing 45-point margin, outscoring them 58-13 en route to his first gold medal at the senior level. He was subsequently named the outstanding boxer of the tournament and awarded the Val Barker Trophy. Additionally, he won gold again that year to also become continental champion at the European Championships in Liverpool, England. Then he won gold at the 2009 World Championships in Milan, Italy. He then competed as a lightweight at the 2011 World Championships in Baku after the Amateur International Boxing Association removed the featherweight division. There, he won his second consecutive gold medal to become a two-weight world champion. Following a fourth move up to lightweight, he won his second consecutive Olympic gold medal at the 2012 Olympic Games in London to become a rare two-weight Olympic champion. He defeated Han Seung-chul of South Korea in the final, 19-9, and he was a strong candidate to win his second Val Barker Trophy in what would have historically been an unprecedented feat. Ultimately, he was edged out by welterweight gold medal winner Saryk Sepayev of Kazakhstan. And again, he finished his amateur career with an impressive record of 396 wins and only one loss. That was the Albert Salamov, which was avenged twice. In November 2017, boxing website The Sweet Science conducted a readers' poll, which ran for several weeks to determine the amateur boxer regarded by the public majority as the all-time best. Now, alongside Lomachenko, the five other standout finalists selected were Laszlo Papp of Hungary, Teofilo Stevenson and Felix Savon of Cuba, Mark Breland of the United States, and Guillermo Rigondeaux of Cuba. Now, while none were able to claim a majority vote, Lomachenko won a plurality, having led the poll with nearly 1/3 of the total votes cast. Vasyl Lomachenko. Now, World Series of Boxing. This was technically an amateur event, but some people said it should have won on its pro record. Okay. Now, prior to turning professional, Lomachenko competed in the lightweight division of the World Series of Boxing from January to May 2013. Now, some outlets would later claim that the 6 fights Lomachenko had in this tournament should have counted toward his pro record due to the World Series of Boxing being professional boxing by law with no headgear and rounds being scored using a 10-point must system, according to the regulations set by professional boxing commissions that license the boxers, promoters, and officials. I don't know how many rounds that was. I couldn't find. I think that's still 3 rounds. So how can it be classified as pro? You know. So let's go to his professional career now for Lomachenko. Okay. Andre Fine is in the building. What's up, Andre? How are you today? We are talking about Vasyl Lomachenko, the life and career of Vasyl Lomachenko. We're gonna work our way through his resume. He only had 21 fights, so I got most of them. Almost all 21 of them. I might have all 21 of them. We'll see. But salute, Andre Fine. How are you today? Good to see you. Okay. Yeah, we just starting his professional career. Now, he started out at featherweight, 126, okay? Started out at featherweight. And after winning his second Olympic gold medal, Lomachenko made the decision to turn pro. Now, after meeting with several fight promoters, he signed the contract to fight for his grandfather. I added that part, Top Rank, the godfather, right? Now, Lomachenko made his pro debut in the United States on October 12, 2013, as part of the undercard to Timothy Bradley versus Juan Manuel Marquez. He defeated Mexican fighter Jose Ramirez with a 4th-round knockout. That's Ramirez laying on the mat there. And then, in his second fight, he went straight to a title shot. Remember? His second fight. Lomachenko versus Salido. That was crazy. wasn't it? But anyway, that's what happened. This was a world title shot. Lomachenko attempted to make history by winning a world championship in his second fight and breaking Zansek and Surin's record, who won a junior welterweight world title in his third pro fight in 1975. That's the record, 3 fights. Okay, Lomachenko was trying to make it in 2. He challenged veteran boxer Orlando Salido for the WBO featherweight title, right? And the title became vacant after Salido failed to make weight. He weighed in at 128 and a quarter pounds, over the 126-pound limit, okay? So Salido couldn't win the title. The only one who could win it was Lomachenko because Salido came in overweight. And on fight night, Salido rehydrated to 147 pounds. That's weight bullying at its finest. You're fighting for featherweight, but you weigh in as a welterweight. Came in at 147, which was equivalent to the welterweight limit, right? All of which was still legal since there were no rehydration clauses disclosed in the contract, right? Only one got that is the IBF. The rest of them, if you come under that limit on the Friday, you can come in at 200 if you can get up that far on fight night. That's crazy, but those are the rules. Now, the fight took place in front of 7,323 people at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas, March 1st, 2014. Now, Lomachenko would earn $631,000 for his second pro fight. Incredible. $500,000 for a second fight, right? Most fighters earn like $50,000 or less for the second fight. This man earned $631,000 for his second fight. Wow. Okay? Against Salido. Now, Lomachenko seemed to shy away from engaging Salido throughout most of the fight, probably due to Salido landing numerous low blows and headbutts that the referee failed to call and or deduct the point. A total of 52 low blows can easily be counted throughout the fight, something that his opponent exploited, right? A late surge, which saw him injure Salido in the final round, was unable to change the final result. He lost by split decision. 2 judges had it for Salido, 116-112, 115-113, and the third had it for Lomachenko, 115-113. Now, Lomachenko, for his part, stated he felt the decision was fair and accepted blame for not following through with his corner's game plan, promising to learn from the experience and come back stronger. Now, the referee of the fight, Lawrence Cole, was roundly criticized by many boxing media outlets for seemingly ignoring the very many foul blows by Salido and his perceived failure to properly conduct the fight. Okay? So now, the man got a title shot in his second fight and lost it. And guess what? He got another title fight in his third fight. So that's the Godfather's grandson. Who gets a title shot in the second fight, loses it, and then gets another title shot in the third fight. But I'm not here to criticize. Let's move on. Next fight was Lomachenko versus Russell, Gary Russell. Another title shot, okay? Third fight. Wasn't that crazy? John? And then he lost in the second. Got another title shot in his third fight. Anyway, it was against Gary Russell, Lomachenko versus Russell Jr. But I'm not here to criticize. We're going to work our way through this profile. Now, the WBO title remained vacant because, remember, Salido came in overweight, so Loma was the only one that could win it in the fight. Salido won, so the title had to remain vacant, okay? So the WBO title remained vacant due to Salido not making weight. On March 20th, 2014, the WBO contacted Golden Boy Promotions and Top Rank to make them aware that they had 30 days to negotiate a fight between Lomachenko and Gary Russell Jr. Gary Russell Jr. was 24-0 at the time. And this fight would be for the vacant WBO featherweight title. In an interview, WBO President Paco Valcarcel said that the fight should take place no later than July of 2014. Purse bids were scheduled, which Golden Boy won with a bid of $1.5 million, right? While Top Rank bid $1 million. So Golden Boy won the purse bid. Now Lomachenko was entitled to $600,000, 60%, and Vasyl Jr. was entitled to $400,000, 40%. So this Lomachenko made over $1 million in his first 2 fights of his career. Within the first 3 fights of his career, he made over $1 million. Now Golden Boy CEO Richard Schaefer challenged Lomachenko's residency. According to the WBO, if the fight is held in the country of origin, residence, or nationality of one of the contenders, the resident contestant shall receive 40% and his opponent shall receive 60% of the total purse offered. Schaefer claimed Lomachenko resided in Marina del Rey, California. So they were saying since he's supposed to reside in Ukraine, he get the 60%. It was later ascertained that Lomachenko had rented a home in California to live in while training, while Ukraine remained his permanent residence. So he got away with that, okay? I don't understand that at all, but anyway. The fight took place on June 21st at the StubHub Center in Carson, California. Lomachenko defeated Vasyl Jr. by a 12-round majority decision to win the vacant WBO featherweight title. Judge Lisa Giampa scored the fight a 114-114 draw, but judges Max DeLuca and Pat Russell scored the fight 116-112 in favor of Lomachenko. Lomachenko used his power and swift skills to maintain control of the fight until the final bell. Lomachenko began to hurt Vasyl Jr. more in the later rounds with power shots. Vasyl Jr. landed only 10% of his punches thrown, with a lot of combinations being missed or blocked. Lomachenko landed 183 of 597 punches, or 31%, and Vasyl Jr. landed 83 of his 806 thrown, 10%. Wow, you can't win a fight landing on 10% punches. With this victory, Lomachenko joined Sensak Buangsurin as the only other boxer to have won a world title in the quickest amount of time since turning pro, accomplishing the feat in just his 3rd pro fight. And the fight averaged 578,000 viewers. Okay? So, he's world champion after 3 fights, which tied the record with the Thai fighter. I'm not saying the Thai fighter's name, while I butchered it twice. But that's still the record. 3 fights between Lomachenko and the Thai fighter shares the record for the fastest winning world championships. Okay? I don't know of anybody that's done it faster than that. So next, Lomachenko versus Pereira-Peno. Pereira-Peno, right? Mike Graham has been in the building. Yeah, Mike's been here. Salute anyway. Salute again, Mike. How are you today? Okay, Lomachenko versus Pereira-Peno. That's them up there. Now, Lomachenko made his first title defense against mandatory challenger Charlatan Pereira-Peno of Thailand. This fight took place on the undercard of Manny Pacquiao versus Chris Algieri on HBO pay-per-view, November 22nd, 2014, at the Cotai Arena in Venetian Resort in Macao. Now, although Pereira-Peno's record of 52 wins and 1 loss made the fight sound challenging for Lomachenko, the only time he stepped up in his 11-year career was in 2012 against Chris John, which he lost by unanimous decision. This was Pereira-Peno. Now, Lomachenko handled his opponent easily, hurting him a few times and scored a knockdown at the end of the 4th round. In the 7th round, Lomachenko stopped using his left hand. It was later confirmed that he injured that hand earlier during that fight. Now, Lomachenko won a unanimous decision with the scores 120-107 on all three of the judges' scorecards, a shutout. He landed 37% of his punches, and his opponent landed 19%. Okay? First title defense was successful. Then he fought Puerto Rican fighter, Vasyl Rodriguez. Andre says, these sanctioning bodies get to do whatever they want, and that is a problem. Yes, that's a huge problem, right? Yeah, they need somebody over the sanctioning body. Like every other sport, every other major sport has a commissioner, right? But boxing is the only one that doesn't. And each sanctioning body got their own different rules. They need one set of rules for everything. Then you got after the sanctioning bodies, you got the state commissions with their rules, state athletic commissions. Each state, the rules change state to state, which depending on what state you fighting in. So they really need to get on top of that. But they don't want to because that allows it to be corrupt, right? You know, you can do one thing in this state, you can do that in that state, you can't do that in that state, you can't do this in this state. It's just confusion. It would make the sport so much better to have a commissioner's office like every other major sport has. Like you say, football. A touchdown is 6 points, whatever state you fight in, right? I mean, whatever state you play in. But boxing, whatever state you go to, the rules vary. Any other sport, the rules are the same, whatever state, whatever country, wherever you go. Boxing is the only sport like this. That's a very good point, Andre, about these sanctioning bodies. They need a commissioner's office. But then that would kind of like stop the corruption and slow down the money they're making. So, you know. But Lomachenko versus, a good point, Andre. Lomachenko versus Rodriguez, okay, was the second title defense. That was announced prior to Lomachenko's mandatory fight against Pino that the winner would next fight 28-year-old Puerto Rican boxer, Vasyl Rodriguez. Yes, so Rodriguez would get the winner. Now, Rodriguez earned the title shot after knocking out Martin Cardona. Now, the fight with Rodriguez was announced to take place on May 2nd, 2015, on the undercard of Mayweather versus Pacquiao. Wow. On that card at the MGM Grand Garden Arena. I never knew Loma was on that card. I was reading over this yesterday. I never knew Loma was on that card before yesterday. On that Mayweather Pacquiao card. I never knew that. I just thought that was news to me. Now, prior to the fight, Rodriguez was on a 17-fight winning streak dating back to 2010. Now, the fight resulted in a first-round technical draw. His last fight before a 17-fight winning streak, right? Rodriguez. So, wow, he's coming in here with a 17-fight winning streak. Now, Top Rank announced before the fight that Lomachenko had signed a 5-year contract extension with his grandfather, the Bob father. Now, on fight night, Lomachenko retained his WBO title against Rodriguez by a 9th-round knockout win. Lomachenko's speed and precision was too much for Rodriguez, who took a knee twice in the fight, once in the 7th and again in the 9th round, which ended the fight. He was also docked a point by the referee in the 5th round for a low blow. And Lomachenko landed 39% of his punches, and Rodriguez 19%. Yeah, Lomachenko had a pretty good defense. They always talk about the matrix and the high tech, but I don't think enough is said about Lomachenko's great defensive fighter he was too. Yes. Now, after the fight, Lomachenko spoke to a translator about his performance. I was just boxing for the fans, having a good time in there. And Top Rank was hoping to match Lomachenko with then WBA featherweight champion Nicholas Walters in a unification fight after this one. And Lomachenko made $750,000 for this fight. Wow. This is not even, he don't even have 10 fights yet. and almost at $1 million. Okay. Wow. Okay, so his next fight was against Kosika, I guess. Lomachenko versus Kosika. Now, Lomachenko next fought on the Tim Bradley versus Brandon Rios undercard on HBO against number 7 WBO ranked 24-year-old Romulo Kosika. Now, the fight took place on November 7th, 2015 at the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in Paradise, Nevada. Lomachenko overwhelmed, dominated, and stopped Kosika in the 10th round on a body shot. You got him with a body shot in 10. Yep. In the post-fight interview, Lomachenko told of how he wanted to put on a good show. I was just having fun in there. Same thing he said last fight. If I really wanted to knock him out, I could have done it earlier. I was having a good time, but I knew the end would be on a body shot. I just didn't know which one. Lomachenko earned a career high $750,000 for the fight. So he earned that in his last fight also. Yeah, that's still his career high, $750,000. And he outlanded Kosika by 259 punches, right? He landed 47%. Kosika landed 12%, okay? Lomachenko had a great defense. And Kosika was on a 4-fight winning streak coming into this one. And that was the first stoppage defeat of his career, okay? So then he goes in there against Martinez. Let me refresh the chat because this thing be messing up and I be missing people coming in. But we good. He went in there against Martinez now. Roman Martinez. Following a third successful defense, Lomachenko, still the reigning WBO featherweight champion, decided, junior super featherweight, he's going up. He decided to move up weight to challenge junior lightweight or super featherweight 130 champion Roman Martinez for his WBA title on June 11, 2016 at the Madison Square Garden. So this is his first fight at 130 at the Garden. Martinez was coming off a draw against Orlando Salido in September 2015 after he controversially defeated him in their first fight in April 2015 for the WBA title. Now, Lomachenko became the fastest boxer to win a world title in 2 weight divisions, knocking out Martinez in the 5th round of the world title fight. Lomachenko dominated the fight from the start to the finish. Yeah, there we go. I didn't change. I'm sorry. I didn't change the display. Bear with me for a minute. Yeah, that's him and Martinez right there. Okay. And there they are in the fight. My bad. Yeah, he dominated from start to finish in this fight. With his superior footwork, hand speed, and slick punching from different angles. Now, according to CompuBox, he outlanded Martinez 87-34. After the fight, Lomachenko called out Orlando Salido. That was the one that beat him in the second fight when he was trying to break the record for the fastest winning the title, remember? He told Salido, "Hey, Salido, I'm ready to fight you at any time before the Vargas fight." I told him to win the fight, but I never told him I wasn't going to fight him if he didn't. So let's do it. I want to revenge Salido for my fans and give them a win over him. Yeah, Salido lost to Vargas, but Lomachenko said he still would fight him. So he made a career high on this one, $850,000. He just right around 10 fights and almost making $1 million already, right? Career high purse. So next came him and Nicholas Walters fight. That was a big one. Yeah, I just about got his entire career because he only had 21 pro fights, remember? Dre says the politics be out of pocket in boxing. They get away with murder. Yes, they do. Because they run everything. They need a commissioner's office badly. Someone to just police it. But they don't want that. You know, like every other major sport has. And look how smoothly they run. You know? I don't know, though. I'm wondering about the NFL. They Ravens-Bills game, man. When the Ravens had a 15-point lead with 5 minutes to go, the Bills was a long shot. So much had to happen for them to win. And everything that had to happen happened. Like clockwork, man. The Ravens stopped moving. The Bills started moving. They got the fumble. Everything that had to happen just one after the other. So, man, I'm kind of wondering about the NFL now. Kind of reminding me of the WWF. Okay, well, let's get back to this. Lomachenko versus Walters. Okay. After failing to make the fight happen earlier in the year, remember they was trying to get Walters before the last fight. So after failing to make it happen earlier, top-ranked Vice President Carl Moretti confirmed on September 28th that Lomachenko would defend his WBO title against 30-year-old unbeaten Jamaican boxer Nicholas Walters. This is going to be at the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas, Nevada, November 26th on HBO. Now, in previous negotiations, Walters turned down a career-high $550,000 purse, even after Lomachenko offered him a further $300,000 from his own purse if Walters won. So you damn it'd be great. They offer you $550,000. If Lomachenko said, if you beat me, I'm gonna give you $300,000 of mine. But it's $850,000. $550 was already a career high for Walters, and he turned that down. Wow. Maybe he thought he couldn't beat Loma. But anyway, HBO provided the remainder of Walters' purse for the fight to go ahead. Now, the event marked Bob Arum's 2000 promoted card, as well as celebrating his 50th anniversary as a promoter. And he's still promoting. The Bob father is still out there. He opened Top Rank in 1973, I think. 73 or 74. Right? And he's still promoting. Because he was promoting before he had Top Rank. It was a company called Main Belt back in the 60s. Bob was partnering up with the Nation of Islam and Muhammad Ali, right? So he was promoting before he had Top Rank, yeah. Way back in the 60s. Mm-hmm. So after Lomachenko dominated the first 6 rounds with his movement, he threw more combination punches in the 7th round, which left Walters visibly shaken. Lomachenko won the fight after Walters retired on his stool at the end of the 7th round. Now, upon returning to his corner, Walters got up and walked the referee Tony Weeks, where he reiterated twice he did not want to continue. Now, a lot of boos followed the confirmation of the fight result, as Walters seemed to back himself up for not returning for round 8, blaming his inactivity in the ring. Listen to me. If I get the chance to fight 2 or 3 fights leading up to this fight, I'll definitely take him on in different circumstances where we are more active and definitely beat him. But it was all him tonight. He fought me with 3 fights this year. So whose fault is that? Your inactivity is your own fault. So it was all him tonight. Nothing taken away from him. He's a very good fighter. I learned a lot from fighting him, and it was 7 rounds of beautiful boxing until my corner decided to end it. Right? Lomachenko learned it 26%, Walters 19%. Lomachenko got his first $1 million purse from this fight. And the Bob father stated after this fight, he was trying to make the rematch with Salido. Because they really wanted, that was the only man that had beat Lomachenko to that point, and they really wanted to get that fight. And get this. Then Bob was trying to make a super fight between Loma and Manny Pacquiao, right? That would have been something. Manny Pacquiao, Loma would have won that because Manny was old then. But yeah, they was trying to, and Bob had both of them, so it wouldn't have been hard to make that fight. But yeah, Loma was still young then and Manny was old. Loma would have dogged him, you know. Probably would have just had a dominant decision, just danced all around, man. You know, yeah. But who would want to see that at that time? Now, Prime versus Prime is a different story, but nah, Loma and Manny Pacquiao way past the sell-by date. Okay, so then he went up against Sosa after this fight. Yeah, we working our way through his resume, that's all. Vasyl Lomachenko today. This is after 3 o'clock, okay. Lomachenko versus Sosa. On February 2nd, 2017, Bob Evans spoke to ESPN. After failing to make a match with WBA champion Jairzinho Corrales, he announced Lomachenko's next fight would take place on April 8th at the MGM Grand National Harbor in Washington, D.C. in a super featherweight unification fight against champion Jason Sosa. This would have been Sosa's third defense of his secondary title, but on February 16th, he vacated the title. The Lomachenko weighed 129.6 for this fight. Sosa came in at 130.4. He then stripped down naked and was still over the limit by 2 ounces, 130.2, and was given the time to trim the extra weight. He later returned to the scale and successfully made weight at exactly 130 pounds, allowing himself to challenge for the WBA title. And you know they be cheating. Can't nobody see the scales. He probably was still over. They're going to say, okay, you 130. Go ahead and fight. Yeah, right. Like Andre was saying, boxing is full of it. And a lot of times they say, yeah, exactly one, whatever. Probably still over. But, you know, they're just trying to get the fight going. Now, the fight headlined HBO World Championship Boxing. Right? In front of a sellout crowd of 2,828 people, many Ukrainian. Lomachenko successfully retained his WBO title for a second time after Sosa failed to return for round 10 when his trainer pulled him out. The fight was similar to Lomachenko's previous fight with Nicholas Walters, who also pulled out. Lomachenko's flashy style and fast combinations won him the rounds. Sosa appeared more hurt in round 8 when he was hit hard in the body. Sosa was the most successful opponent Lomachenko had fought since Salido in terms of landing punches. Sosa landed 24%, Lomachenko 40%. Sosa's trainer Raul Rivas explained why he pulled him out of the fight. It was an accumulation of too many punches. I didn't want to get Jason hurt. He was out of the fight. Lomachenko said he wanted to follow this win by only fighting current world champions at super featherweight for a chance to unify the division, or he would move up to lightweight. In this fight, he went back down. He made $1 million in the fight before, and now he made $800,000 for this one. And it peaked at 886,000 viewers on HBO. Average 832,000 viewers. Wow. Okay. Mariaga. Lomachenko versus Mariaga is next. Okay. June 30th, 2017, Top Rank announced that a deal was in place for Lomachenko to make a third defense of his WBO title against Colombian former featherweight world title challenger Miguel Mariaga. Miguel was coming off a loss, and this would be his first fight at 130, right? It was confirmed that the fight would take place live on ESPN on August 5th, 2017 at the Microsoft Theater in Los Angeles, California. Now, Carl Moretti of Top Rank stated that Salido had initially turned down a $720,000 purse to fight Lomachenko in a rematch. Even after negotiations to meet his financial needs, Salido still denied the offer due to other problems, mentioning weight and hand issues. Yeah, Salido didn't want to fight Lomachenko again, so they never did. You know, they might as well give up on that. Yeah. But Salido seen something in that first fight. He realized that young kid was getting experience and everything, and he couldn't beat him anymore. He wasn't going to fight him anymore, and he didn't. No matter how much money they offered him. But this Mariaga fight, in front of 4,102 fans, Lomachenko dominated the fight from the opening bell and proved too much for Mariaga, dropping him twice in the fight before Mariaga's corner stopped the fight after round 7. Lomachenko retained his WBO title for the 3rd time. The first knockdown came towards the end of the 3rd round when Lomachenko landed a straight left to Mariaga, who was off balance. Now Mariaga got up straight away and didn't appear hurt. In the 4th round, an accidental clash of heads opened up a cut above Lomachenko's left eye. In the following round, Lomachenko protested the referee Jack Reese, claiming he was being hit low and headbutted by Mariaga. In the 7th round, Lomachenko landed body shots and uppercuts, eventually dropping Mariaga for the 2nd time with a left hook at 2 minutes and 59 seconds of round 7. Just 1 second left in the round, he dropped him. But the round can't save you. So Mariaga beat the count and walked towards his corner. And the referee waved it into the fight moments later. Wow. Although it was a corner retirement, the California State Athletic Commission ruled it a knockout win. And Lomachenko made $750,000 for this one. Mariaga made $50,000. And during the post-fight interviews, Mariaga praised Lomachenko. He said, "He dominated the fight. I connected with some good punches, but I couldn't get the result I was looking for. I wanted to continue the fight, but my corner stopped the fight. He basically overwhelmed me with pressure." Now the Bob father, here you go. Bob father also showed his admiration of Lomachenko, comparing him to former heavyweight world champion and legend Muhammad Ali. Yeah, the Bob father said Loma just as good as Muhammad Ali, right? And Bob father promoted 27 of Ali's professional fights, right? Bob father said, "I never saw anything like this. He's unbelievable. Not only does he have the knowledge, he has the skill set that I've never seen before. Fast, reflexes, everything. And he really entertains. Who else did that? Muhammad Ali." That's the Bob father talking about his grandson. The fight averaged 728,000 viewers on ESPN. The move from HBO to ESPN was done to expose Lomachenko and gain more viewership, but was down by 104,000 compared to Lomachenko's last fight against Sosa on HBO. Viewership was adversely affected by a channel switch when the broadcast began and the time at which their main event started. Yeah. Okay. Guillermo Rigondeaux was next for Lomachenko. Lomachenko versus Guillermo Rigondeaux. Remember that one? Yeah, that was good. That's right, okay. They had their picks, 100%. Lomachenko versus Rigondeaux. On August 6th, Bob Arum stated that Lomachenko would fight for a 3rd time in 2017, likely on December 9th or December 23rd. When asked who the potential options were, Bob Arum stated, "Well, there's a few guys. Rigondeaux, if he answers, Dino Duva's call. There's Salido, who's sniffing around, and the 3rd is Miguel Burchell." The Bob father also mentioned lightweight contender Ray Beltran, but said he would like to capture a world title at lightweight before a potential fight with Lomachenko. Damn, Beltran was old as dirt by then, 2017? Wow. Salido informed his manager, Sean Gibbons, that he had no issues with fighting Lomachenko in December. Gibbons believed Lomachenko needed Salido more than Salido would need Lomachenko, as Lomachenko was looking to raise TV ratings and sell out a 10,000 capacity arena. On August 14th, the Bob father spoke to LA Times and confirmed either Rigondeaux or Salido would be Lomachenko's next opponent. He stated, "If the fight with Rigondeaux was made, it would likely take place at the Madison Square Garden Theater. And the potential rematch with Salido, if that was made, that would take place in Los Angeles. So on August 21st, the Bob father stated, the Lomachenko and Rigondeaux camps were closing in on finalizing a deal for December 9th. A fight with the two-weight world champion and reigning super bantamweight title holder, a two-time Olympic gold medalist, and one of the most successful amateur boxers ever, would take place at 130 pounds. The fight was officially confirmed on September 15th. It was since confirmed that the fight would, in fact, be at the theater, Madison Square Garden, headlining an ESPN televised card. On November 18th, Carl Moretti of Top Rank revealed a rehydration clause on the contract. Both fighters agreed to weigh in at 9 o'clock on the morning of the fight, where they would not be able to exceed 138 pounds. Any fighter over the limit would face a penalty of more than $10,000. On fight night, Lomachenko weighed 137.4 and Rigondeaux weighed 130. Wow. Yeah, because Rigondeaux was really coming from like 122 or something, a super bantamweight, you know? In front of a sellout crowd of 5,102 at the theater, Lomachenko retained his WBO title, dominating the fight with superior boxing skills, forcing Rigondeaux to retire on his stool after round 6. Rigondeaux stated he had broken the top of his left hand in round 2, which was the reason he did not come out for round 7. Rigondeaux became Lomachenko's 4th consecutive opponent to retire on the stool. The loss also marked the first time Rigondeaux had lost since 2003, when he was still an amateur. At the time of stoppage, Lomachenko was ahead on all 3 scorecards, 60-53, 59-54, and 59-54. Lomachenko was winning widely. In the post-fight interview, Lomachenko was asked about Rigondeaux being the 4th consecutive opponent to retire on the stool, to which Lomachenko joked, "Maybe I should change my second name. Now my name is Lomachenko." Lomachenko. He also went on to say, "This is not his weight, so it's not a big win for me, but he's a good fighter. He's got great skills. I adjusted to his style, low blows and all." Speaking through an interpreter, Rigondeaux said, "I lost, no excuse. I injured the top of my left hand in the second round. He's a very technical fighter. He's explosive. I'm going to come back because that's what I do. The weight was not a factor in this fight. It was the injury to my hand." So Loma got 1.2 for this one. Rigondeaux got 400,000. So on December 12th, Dino Duva of Rock Nation Sports confirmed that Rigondeaux had in fact bruised his hand and not fractured it, as initially stated. Okay, so now Lomachenko makes the move to lightweight. He makes his move up to lightweight now, okay? Move to lightweight. That's where he just finished. He finished that lightweight, remember? That's where he retired at. Okay. Yeah, Bob always lied, Dre. And Mike says, "Not the first time I've seen somebody retire from a fight from all missing." Okay, so now Loma is going to lightweight. The Los Angeles Times' Lug Pugmire was told by Bob Arum on January 26, 2018, that Lomachenko would have his next fight at 135, lightweight. Arum stated he was unable to make unification fights at super featherweight. He could have still made super featherweight easy 130, but he couldn't get the fights he wanted. And the big names the big fight was at 135. So he's going to lightweight. He couldn't get the fight at 130 against WBC champion Miguel Berchelt. He couldn't get the fight against WBA champion Alberto Machado. So he moved up to lightweight and fought Jose Linares. Remember? Linares was his first fight at lightweight. Oh, that's him in Riggindale. Damn. I'm not showing my pictures. Took all this time showing the pictures. Okay. First fight at lightweight was Jose Linares. On January 30th, the Bob father told ESPN that negotiations had begun in December 2017 for a fight between Lomachenko and WBA Ring Magazine lightweight champion Jorge Linares. After speaking to Tekken Promotions, who was Linares' promoter, with the fight to take place on either April 28th or May 12th. And the fight would main event an ESPN card. Aaron was pushing for the fight to take place at Madison Square Garden on May 12th, 2018. The reason behind the date was explained by Aaron. May 12th is an extraordinary important date for ESPN programming. It's right in the middle of the basketball playoffs. Carl Moretti called Eric Gomez a golden boy, informing them of the date. Gomez stated they were happy with the fight. However, the date of May 12th was not a good date for them, as he already had plans for that date. HBO would likely air the pay-per-view replay of Jenny Golovkin versus Canelo Alvarez rematch, along with a live fight. On February 17th, Gomez stated the fight was not called off, and Aaron would need to be more flexible with the date, as Golden Boy accepted Aaron's terms that the fight would take place in New York at the Garden. Okay, let's get to the fight. On March 21st, the fight was officially announced. WBO President Francisco Valcarcel told Lomachenko, regardless of the result, he would have 10 days to decide whether he would return to super lightweight and defend his WBC title or vacate. I know Bob Father didn't like that, giving my grandson ultimatums and stuff. Now, both fighters came in at 134.6 for the fight. Right? Now, Lomachenko survived the sixth round knockdown and win by TKO in round 10 after a perfectly placed liver shot to claim the WBO and the Ring Magazine lightweight titles. In doing so, he became the fastest fighter ever to win titles in 3 weight classes. This was only his 12th pro fight, right? And the previous record was held by Jeff Finnick. Okay, Jeff Finnick did it in 20 fights. Yep. And Lomachenko wore Linares down with his fast shots through the first 9 rounds before finishing the fight in the 10th. Right, Linares slowly beat the count but looked too hurt, and referee Ricky Gonzalez stopped the fight 2 minutes 8 seconds of round 10. Okay. And Lomachenko said it was a great fight. That right hand that knocked me down, it was a great punch. It happens. I prepared for the first few rounds, and my father and trainer, Anatoly Lomachenko, told me, you need to go to the body. Okay? So next. So yeah, Lomachenko ended up vacating his 130 belt because he never went back down. Okay? Pedraza, Jose Pedraza. Lomachenko versus Pedraza. Yeah. Lomachenko versus Jose Pedraza. Okay? So after winning the WBA and ring titles from Linares, the Bob father stated that Lomachenko would defend their belts August 25th at the Forum in Inglewood, California, right? Possible fight against Raimundo Beltran. Okay, I thought you were talking about Raimundo Beltran. Okay, I was talking about Carlos Beltran. After vacating the 130 title, Aaron stated Lomachenko would not fight on August 25th. It was later revealed that earlier in the fight against Linares, Lomachenko suffered a torn labrum in his right shoulder, and he underwent surgery for that in May of that year. On July 10th, he revealed he would return on August 25th. But then on July 31st, his manager, Aegis Klimas, said that Lomachenko would make his return in December. And it would be against Jose Pedraza. Okay? which would be a unification fight. December 8th, 2018, at the theater in Madison Square Garden. Is him and Pedraza. For the first time as a professional, Lomachenko unified in a weight division as he beat Pedraza by unanimous decision to retain his WBA title and claim Pedraza's WBO title at 135. Madison Square Garden. Very widely. 119, 107, 117, 109, and 117, 109 again. Okay? All for Lomachenko. Okay, after Pedraza, Anthony Crolla went up against Anthony Crolla. Was his next fight. Top-ranked president Todd DeBoeuf announced Lomachenko would return to the ring on April 12, 2019 at the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California. Headlining Friday Night Top-Ranked Boxing on ESPN, with Richard Comey and Issa Chaniev set to fight for the vacant IBF lightweight title as the co-main. It was highly likely that the winner would fight Lomachenko in what would be Lomachenko's second unification fight. Top Rank intended to finalize the deal with promoter Lou DiBella, which would see Comey versus Chaniev take place on February 2nd, 2019 in Frisco, Texas. By the end of January 2019, purse bids for Lomachenko versus, that was two different cards, excuse me. But by the end of January 2019, purse bids for Lomachenko versus Crolla were pushed back 2 days to February 6, 2019, with the minimum bid being $150,000. Okay. So Lomachenko would defend his WBA, WBO, and Ring Magazine titles against Crolla at the Staples Center in Los Angeles on April 12, 2019. The fight, including the full undercard, would be streamed live and exclusive on ESPN Plus to mark the 1-year anniversary of the streaming service. Right? This was ESPN Plus. 1-year anniversary. Lomachenko was guaranteed $1.2 million. Okay. And guess how? What Crolla came into this fight as a 100-1 underdog, right? He got $300,000 though. 100-1 underdog. Wow. And Lomachenko stopped Crolla in the first minute of round 4. Lomachenko visibly started to outthrow Crolla during round 2. In round 3, Lomachenko became overwhelmingly dominant while forcing Crolla to spend the majority of his time against the ropes. With 11 seconds left in the round, Lomachenko's combination was interrupted by referee Jack Reese. At first glance, Lomachenko and even the crowd thought it looked as if Reese had stopped the fight, causing Lomachenko to celebrate by jumping on the corner ropes. However, Reese immediately corrected the misunderstanding and forced out commissioners who had climbed into the ring and resumed the fight after a 10-second count for Crolla. Although with 1 second left in the round, the round ended immediately. Between rounds 3 and 4, Reese explained he not actually waved off the fight and instead called a technical knockdown. He was seen immediately pointing and saying down. He explained he was accounting for the ropes, aid to Crolla's ability to stand, since if the ropes had been absent, Crolla would have been down, and it's against the rules for a fighter to have any outside support in standing throughout the entire duration of the fight, thus justifying the rarely used but sanctioned technical knockdown. Because of this, Crolla continued on into round 4, where after briefly trying to rally back, he was knocked down in second 52 by a right hook to the temple. Crolla fell to the canvas face first, unable to break his fall. So Loma stops him in the 4th round, Crolla. And Loma landed 29% of his shots. Kroller led at 13% for this fight. Okay, Lomachenko versus Luke Campbell. Lomachenko versus Campbell. This is next fight. Mike Mazik. What's up, Mike? How are you today? Working our way through Vasyl Lomachenko versus Luke Campbell now. Salute, Mike. He faced they both were in the 2012 Olympics in London. They both won gold medals, too, in different weight classes. So now they're fighting in the pros as lightweights, okay? Lomachenko retained his titles, WBA, WBO, and Ring Magazine lightweight titles. And they was also fighting for the vacant WBC title. So Lomachenko has them all set for the IBF at that point. He beat Campbell by unanimous decision. 119-108 on two cards, 118-109 on the other. One judge basically gave Campbell one round for the fight. Okay, so now we winding. We're gonna make it. Because now we're at Lomachenko versus Lopez. Teofimo. There you go. Teofimo. What's up, Just Do Boxing in the building? Coming up at 4 p.m. Balanced, unbiased boxing talk right there. Everybody gets to just do at Just Do Boxing. Let's talk about Lomachenko Just Do. Salute. So we are up to Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez. Okay? In September of 2020, Lomachenko agreed to fight newly crowned undefeated IBF lightweight champion Teofimo Lopez on October 17, 2020 at the MGM Grand Conference Center in Paradise, Nevada. Now, before this fight, Lomachenko had the other three belts, WBC, WBA, and WBO. But remember they made him the, what they call that the franchise. Is that the franchise belt? And he dropped the WBC. Some kind of way, Devin ended up with the WBC. That's why people always said Teofimo was undisputed. Teofimo was never undisputed because Lomachenko did not have that WBC belt when he fought Teofimo. Teofimo was three belt unified. Lomachenko only had the Ring Magazine, the WBA, and the WBO when he fought Teofimo. He did not have the WBC. So Teofimo was never four belt undisputed in his life. Okay, so that's what happened. Anyway, they fought in Paradise. This was during COVID. Remember, no fans in the building. Remember that fight between him and Teofimo? There you go. Nobody present. Now, with no live audience due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Lomachenko suffered the second loss of his career, losing by unanimous decision with the scorecards reading 116-112, 117-111, and 119-109. Yeah, 119-109 was ridiculous. Judge Julie Letterman's scorecard of 119-109 was criticized for giving Lomachenko only one round. The first 7 rounds saw Lopez stay behind his jab and go into the body, with Lomachenko offering little response. Yeah, Lomachenko didn't do nothing in the first 7 rounds. Remember? Nothing. That was crazy. And then he came on in the second half and just clearly showed he was the better fighter, but he gave away the first 6 or 7 rounds. Definitely the first 6. Just gave him to Teofimo. Like, here, take him. So, yeah, he lost the fight right there. Then the second half, Lomachenko started coming out more offensively, landing more punches. In the final round, Lomachenko took his foot off the gas just like he did against Devin, remember, in the last round. In the final round, Teofimo led to 50 or 98 punches thrown for 51%. The most an opponent ever landed on Lomachenko in a single round in his career, right? And for the fight, Lomachenko landed 44% of his punches, while Lopez landed 28%. Now, days after the fight, Lomachenko underwent surgery on his right shoulder. Teofimo declined to give Lomachenko a rematch, explaining that everybody in Lomachenko's camp was being a dick. That's Teofimo to me and my father. Lomachenko didn't put a rematch clause in our contract. Yeah, you messed up there, Lomachenko, because he thought he was going to win. So I don't blame Teofimo, because Lomachenko was, by not putting a rematch clause, he was showing if he won, he wasn't giving Teofimo a rematch. He clearly wasn't. So I don't blame Teofimo for that. Nakatani, not the Nakatani. This is another Nakatani, not the one everybody want to see against Monster. Oh my goodness, where's Nakatani? Here, this Roman Nakatani. Now he had that surgery, took a little time off after the Teofimo fight, right? And then for his comeback, he had a fight against Masayoshi Nakatani, June 26, 2021, right? Now, they both shared a common loss to Teofimo. Teofimo had beat Nakatani too, right? And Lomachenko explained the reason he chose Nakatani as his next opponent. I want to compare myself with this guy. He was close with Teofimo in their fight. Now, Nakatani had a 6-inch height and reach advantage over Lomachenko coming into this fight. Right? But it didn't do him any good. And this was only the second fight of Lomachenko's career in which the world title was not at stake, because he had lost his titles in his last fight to Teofimo, remember? And he won his title in his third fight. And ever since the second fight, it was always going for titles. This was only the second time since the first fight of his career that a title wasn't involved in his career, right? And the other one was Jose Luis Ramirez in his first fight in 2013. On the night, Lomachenko scored a knockdown in the 5th round en route to a 9th round TKO victory over Nakatani. Okay? Then Richard Comey was his next fight after that. Richard Comey. That's him and Nakatani. Richard Comey. Lomachenko versus Comey. In an attempt to put his name back into contention for a shot at his old title, Lomachenko agreed to face former IBF lightweight champion Richard Comey, December 11th, 2021. Right? And Comey came in as a 10-1 underdog for this fight. Now, Lomachenko dropped Comey in the 7th round, courtesy of a left hook. Later, pleading with the corner of Comey to stop the fight. They refused, and Comey survived and went to 4 12 rounds and lost widely, 119-108 twice and 117-110 on the third card. Yeah, he lost that fight widely. And then he was supposed to fight Kambosos in this fight, but it was canceled. The first Kambosos fight was canceled. Thomas Hill, what's up, Thomas Hill in the building? And remember, everybody, Monday, the whole show is going to be the panel. Okay, I'm going to drop the panel like right after the fight of the day, like 2:15, 2:20. So anybody can get here early and help me chop up this weekend's action. Monday, the entire fight going to be the panel. Justice says, yeah, Loma gave away too many early rounds and lost the trophy. But from like 7 or 8 to 11, Loma was cooking. Yeah, he was cooking him, Justice. Yeah, he clearly showed who the better fighter was, but he started too late. That was just crazy. And then took the 12th round off. That was crazy. He says facts, Justice, but I will say that the work he did was far superior to the work Teo did against him. Yeah, it was too little too late. Too little too late. Great points. But Justice and T. Hill. Yeah. And Justice says, this is the guy that is looking bad. And he complained he doesn't want to fight y'all fighters no more. Yeah, that is crazy, Justice. Yeah. But Loma gave that fight away against Teofimo. That was a crazy fight. I'm like, what is he doing? And then when he started in round 7, like Justice was saying, he cooked Teofimo. He showed who the superior fighter was, but he gave the fight away in the first 6 rounds. And they're going to take the 12th round off. I don't know what Loma was doing. But before he fought Kambosos, they had a council fight. Todd D. Beef, both, whatever his name is, stated, top-ranked president, Todd D-U-B-O-E-F, stated, Lomachenko would fight in the first half of 2022, fight against newly crowned unified lightweight champion George Kambosos. He had took Teofimo's titles, remember? Now, Kambosos was now insistent that he make his first world title defense in Australia, preferably in a stadium, having been on the road for the last 7 fights, going back to 2017. But he was a C-level fighter with no belts or nothing, Kambosos. Why was anybody going to come to Australia and fight? Now you got 3 belts. They are willing to come there, right? But before that, why would anybody go to Kambosos and fight George Kambosos before he beat Teofimo? Nobody even know who the hell he was, right? So yeah, anyway. And Lomachenko was Bob Arum's first choice to land the fight with Kambosos. Now Eddie Hearn, promoter of Devin Haney, who had the WBC belt by then, was also trying to secure the fight for Devin against Kambosos, because that would have been undisputed, because Kambosos took the other 3 belts from Teofimo at that point. Now, the Barfather felt Lomachenko would make more commercial sense, as Haney was not as well known due to limited exposure. So in February 2022, ESPN reported that Kambosos would fight on June 5th at Marvel Stadium in Australia. But anyway, that fight fell through. It didn't happen. Okay. So Lomachenko fought Jermaine Ortiz after that, right? Beat Jermaine Ortiz. Okay. And then after Ortiz, I think, we gotta get through this. Yeah, we got like 10 minutes. Things are weird. I want Ortiz. What did I miss something? Well, I think I'm rushing and went right past some stuff. Okay, yeah, Jermaine Ortiz. I think the Kambosos fight might have been. No, Kambosos was after Devin. Then was Devin, right? Yeah, we coming to the end. Yeah, Jermaine Ortiz, Devin Haney fight came about after that. Might have been something in between, I'm not sure, but yeah. Went up against Devin Haney, remember? And that's still debated to this day. The Devin Haney fight, right? No, I wouldn't say he overrated Autism Boy. A little manufactured, He didn't deserve no title fight in his second fight, and then lost that one and got another one in his third fight. That was definitely not deserved. Who does that? Shouldn't have got it in the second fight. Then he lost, and the Barfather put him right back in another title fight, the third fight. So yeah, kind of manufactured a little, but not overrated. He was a good fighter. But yeah, the Devin fight was still people still argue about that to this day. I had Loma 75 winning it, but it was a good fight. Like Al Booker was saying in the beginning, it was a good fight. The scores were 116-112 for Devin, 115-113 for Devin, and 115-113 for Devin. So very close. 7-5 on 2 cards, 8-4 on the other. But yeah, I thought Loma won it. And then was the Kambosos fight. Kambosos was his final fight in his career, right? Remember? Fought George Kambosos, right? Yep, he did. Yeah. After they had to cancel Kambosos negotiations, they did actually fight. Okay. That was when they cheated Maxie Hughes, because Maxie Hughes should have got that fight because he beat Kambosos, remember? Like 10 rounds to 2. And Loma, but they were setting up Kambosos and Loma, Yeah, that was Wall, wasn't it, T-Hill? 8-4 dad. And then they had to cancel Gervonta Davis negotiations. Let's talk about that real quick. Now, following Lomachenko's win over Kambosos, discussions for a unification fight against undefeated WBA lightweight champion Gervonta Davis commenced, with both sides initially showing interest. But in July 2024, Lomachenko's manager, Aegis Klimas, announced that talks had broken down. Due to Lomachenko refusing to fight, Loma is not in the mood. That's exactly what he said. Loma is not in the mood right now. They could have came up with a better choice of words than that. He doesn't have the motivation at the moment. And that was right after he saw what happened to Frank Martin too, remember? Another southpaw. He's taking off. This is Loma's manager, Aegis Klimas. He's taking off. He wants to spend more time with his family. He doesn't want to do anything until the end of the year. So he's definitely not coming to the ring until the end of the year. Okay. And then he retired after that, right? Put down the tank fight. And then he went into retirement. Okay. So after hinting at retirement since the beginning of 2025, this year, Lomachenko officially announced his retirement on June 5th by a video he posted on his social media channels. In the video, he said, "I'm grateful for every victory and defeat inside the ring and outside the ring. I'm thankful that as my career comes to an end, I've gained clarity about the direction a person must take in order to achieve true victory, not just in the ring. I thank God for my honest and wonderful and kind parents, for their care, love, and warmth I've felt throughout my life. My father taught me not only boxing, but how to be a role model for my own children. I've made many mistakes in life and in the gym, but my father was always by my side, correcting me when needed. I have many warm memories. To my family, you have always stood by me. You shared in my victories, and you felt the pain of my losses. Those losses only made me stronger." Lomachenko also paid tribute to his father and trainer, Anatoly Lomachenko. There were multiple tribute posts from boxing media and his peers later that day, praising Lomachenko for what he achieved in his career. He finished his pro career with 18 wins from 21 fights, 3 losses, 12 knockouts, okay? 17 of his 18 total fights were world title fights. No, 16. Because his first fight wasn't a world title fight. It was his first one after the Teofimo fight against Jermaine Ortiz wasn't a world title fight. But every other fight in his career were world title fights. And that's something. Second fight, he got a title shot. They lost it. The third fight, they gave him another one. That's why I can't get over that. Appreciate you, Dre, 1000%. Okay, let's finish. Let's land this plane now. His personal life. Personal life. We got Just Do Boxing coming up at 4 too. Well, how can I know anybody forgetting that? Just Do coming up next in about 10 minutes. Lomachenko's personal life. Okay. Lomachenko is married to Alina Lomachenko, and they had 2 children. That's one of the children there. As of 2019, and since at least 2016, he lives in Camarillo, California, and trains in nearby Oxnard, just north of Los Angeles, California. The face tattooed on Lomachenko's torso is that of his father and trainer, Anatoly Lomachenko. During the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine, Lomachenko joined the Ukrainian army on paper. Okay? Lomachenko was in Greece when the invasion began on February 24th, 2022. And his flight home to Ukraine the next day was delayed due to air traffic being grounded. He managed to get into Ukraine by flying to Bucharest and traveling through Romania on February 26, 2022. He followed Ukrainian brothers Vladimir and Vitaly Klitschko, former heavyweight boxing champions, who also announced their pledge to protect the capital of Ukraine, Kiev, in February 2022. Upon his return to Ukraine, Lomachenko joined the Territorial Defense Battalion of his hometown on February 27, 2022. But they said it right. He joined the Ukrainian army on paper. He wasn't doing no damn fight. The fighting style for Lomachenko. What was his fighting style? Lomachenko was known for his exceptional footwork, head movement, speed, ability to switch stances, and skill at throwing punches at uncanny angles. Lomachenko's inspirations included Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, and Roy Jones Jr. And there you have it, the life and career of Vasyl Lomachenko. He fired on one. And I want to remind everybody, Monday, the entire show is going to be the panel. So if you can get here early, help me chop up this weekend's action, I would appreciate it. We're going to do the fight of the day Monday, then like 2:20. Let's say 2:30, the late going in, and the entire show is going to be the panel. So anybody that can come help chop up this weekend's action or anything else, boxing or anything, just please stop by Monday early. We're going to chop it up, down, all around, upside down, inside out. I was getting ready to sing that song. Upside down, you're turning. Okay, but Just Do Boxing coming up next. Okay, but I appreciate everybody that stopped by today. But yeah, tomorrow is it. The talk is over. Y'all see that thing yesterday at the weigh-in where they got the tussle? And Bojack was like an NFL nose guard. Bojack moved the whole pile back, man. Womack hit that pile. It was like 7 or 8 people on Canelo, so everybody went back. Womack was like an NFL all-pro nose guard, man. Womack hit that pile and they went the other way. Big Bo. But it's all going down tomorrow. Canelo Alvarez versus Bud Crawford. And this weekend also, Monster Inoue versus MJ. I'm glad he got that nickname MJ because I don't know how to pronounce his name. I done heard people say it millions of times, but I still can't say it. So thank you for MJ for that nickname. Naoya Inoue versus MJ. And then there's a lot of great Japanese fighters on that card. I don't know about the Bud Canelo on the card, but who knows what's going to be the fight of the weekend. And Al Booger said, Monster and MJ is on Top Rank's Facebook page. But ESPN don't broadcast them no more, right? Is that true? So it's on Top Rank's Facebook page. Okay. But yeah, look forward to Monday. We're going to chop this weekend's action up. Okay? Starting about 2:30. Define on one. Thomas Hill, Just Do Boxing, Mike Mazik, Dre Finest, Shawa, and y'all get over there and subscribe to Shawa, and subscribe to the Autism Boy too. Autism Boy, did you put your link in there? Do it real quick before we go out if you're still in here, Autism Boy. Drop your link in. Shawa's is in there. And subscribe to all the great channels. And yeah, we had Shawa, Autism Boy, Kensaw Love 1, The Real Hattie, Mike Rim, Al Booger, and Miss Cass. Appreciate everybody. We're at the end of another big week of boxing history. We were celebrating Miss Cass' birthday yesterday, so I didn't get on. But yeah, we'll be back Monday. Monday is going to be a panel show. Okay, chopping up this weekend's action. But I appreciate everybody that came through today, 1,000%. Just Do Boxing is coming on now. And we're going to get over there and check Just Do out. And I'll be back Monday. We're going to chop this weekend's action up. So I will holler at y'all then. Okay? Peace. Wait a minute. If it's Monday through Friday at 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian bringing you all that boxing history. Just Do Boxing straight ahead. This is Cass Sports. Everybody have a great weekend. Now we finished.